This is the Granny Peace Brigade, its first teach-in, and it's on November 11th, which is called Veterans Day in the United States. It was originally Armistice Day in 1918 when the war to end all wars, that was the First World War, when that was going to end. And the focus today is on closing down Guantanamo and also all the U.S. military bases all over the world. This is something that most people are not aware of, that the Pentagon admits to 737 bases worldwide. The cost is enormous.
In 1918, the Armistice Treaty ended World War I. And since that time, that was the war to end all wars. But since that time, there was World War II, there was Korea, there was Vietnam. And since then, more than 145 hot and cold wars, like smallpox, dotting the world, causing the deaths of millions, soldiers and civilians.
The only way for the people of Cuba to have even the slightest bit of independence, and the only way for this puppet government to maintain even a shred of legitimacy, was to have some form of recognized independence, and the U.S. demanded as its price Guantanamo Bay Naval Base for use as a naval or coaling station. In fact, it was written into the Cuban Constitution that was created in 1903 that the United States had access perennially to this naval base and to this area. And the lease was written in a very clever way. The lease can only be ended by mutual agreement. So the people of Cuba can say as much as they want that this is their land and they don't accept a U.S. naval base on their land. And according to the terms of the lease, they would be powerless to enforce it because the United States would ensure that it would stay by use of military force and military might. Guantanamo is a conspiracy of silence. It's an old story, and it's not a new story, but it's a story that can be ended with all of our work and all of our struggle to bring justice and dignity and human rights for the men and boys at Guantanamo Bay and everywhere around the world who are victims of U.S. military bases and U.S. imperialism.
Let them go. Let them go.
Okinawa, in the Philippines, in South Korea, and the other bases, the damage done to the community, especially to the young women. These are bases surrounded by prostitution, surrounded by taverns, drinking, drug dealing, etc.
The largest military jail incarcerating U.S. soldiers outside the U.S. is in Mannheim, Germany. Germany also is the only country outside the U.S. to have major command centers stationed in Germany, in Stuttgart. The headquarters of AFRICOM is not in the U.S., it's in Stuttgart. We have to reach out and say that American friendship is not about Merkel and Bush. It's about the American people and the German people standing on the laws and standards created at Nuremberg and with the UN Charter and reaching out, helping each other with our anti-base struggles.
Just this week, about 50 members of the Olympia Port military resistance sat down at the gate. And they forced 2 tractor trailers to turn back, and they were not able to take one tractor trailer had 2 Stryker combat vehicles, and the other one was filled with military cargo. Sandy Mays was one of the founding members of this group, and she states the purpose of what they're doing. Quote, "The combat vehicles being shipped through our town were used to invade and destroy a sovereign nation, devastating the lives of millions of Iraqis and thousands of Americans. The reason we are blocking them now is because we do not want these war machines to be ever used again."
We organized this conference as an educational project to expand people's information about Guantanamo and about what the U.S. military is doing all over the world. I think it was successful, and this is just the first in a series that we're planning.